Hey, there you are.
I was next door.
Oh, well, they're pretty nice too, I'm sure.
I didn't ring any doorbells.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. How's it going?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Hi.
I'm Natalie from Kris Smith. Just snacking. Good.
Yeah, snack time. Snack for the new millennium. It's the year 2000, finally, guys. If you don't fake it, then you're cool. I'll start that recording. Great. All right. Now this is the first take because we're all very good at everything that we do and everything that we try, and it's just takes any effort whatsoever.
Nothing.
Yeah,
We're
effortless lives.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, gliding through it.
So Kris, you had a day that was busy.
Yeah, it was
Much like I did.
It was a busy day, but it was a good day.
Mm-hmm.
Yours too.
I just went to work.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work from my bedroom. I'm a virtual personal trainer. And I trained a session for an hour, and then I started packing up all the gear that I'd been sorting and organizing that I've been hanging on to for like over a year. I've been nomadic for like about a year and 8 months, and I'm hitting the road again, going south for the winter. So I'm leaving Chicago, and in the process of leaving Chicago, I have to move all this stuff that I've accumulated into the storage unit. So it was like a station wagon's worth of gear, but like the totes aren't too heavy. I try not to like make them too heavy. Again, as a virtual personal trainer, I try to, or even just a personal trainer, not even a virtual one, I try to be mindful of like how I move weight around and want to do it carefully and safely. And I'm by myself.
Right.
I didn't want to ask anyone for help. Not that I needed to. I thought about it. I was like, it would go a lot faster, but I was like, it took me an hour. It would take me an hour and a half to do by myself. And I like kind of like the challenge. In my storage unit, these boxes are stacked like 10 high. And I'm climbing on furniture to get into my unit to like pull stuff down. I got my winter boots today. Anyway, it was like a workout. And then I came home, I ate, I chilled for a little bit, and then I came here. I changed and I came here.
Cool.
Yeah. So it was a good day. And I'm excited for what's to come. Like these visits to my storage unit, swapping gear is always like exciting. You know, I get to like, what do I need? What can I leave? You know, and after having done it already, I have a better idea of what to bring and what not to bring.
So, your training sessions, how long are they usually lasting?
They're 25 minutes or 50 minutes.
When do you think you're going to go down to Florida?
Oh, I'm not. Did I say Florida?
Or did I just thinking that because when people say they're going down in the winter, I'm always like, Florida?
I'm going to the desert. So I'm going to like Arizona, maybe California, New Mexico, maybe Nevada. Like I'm going to see if I make it to California, Nevada for a weekend. But yeah, I'll be in Arizona for January, New Mexico for February, and then maybe March, and then Texas in March/April, and then maybe Mississippi and Louisiana for May. And then come back to Chicago in June.
Oh my God.
Because that's the best time to be here.
Yes.
So
And
awesome.
that's my plan.
That's going to be amazing.
I'm really, really glad
Thanks.
that we could see each other before that. That's going to be a huge adventure. Jeez.
Yeah, it will. It will. And I went to a lot of the same places last year. So I'm revisiting some of the same folks. And I've got like a job that I accumulated along the way. So I've got a mural job that I'm trying to paint in Texas.
Yes.
So we'll see how that goes.
That's great. You have, what do you use to transport like yourself? Do you have a van?
It's like a 1996 station wagon. It's like a Saturn. So like people love their Saturns. As I've been like driving my Saturn.
The old commercials for them where they would say, "I love my Saturn."
Oh my gosh, was that from the commercials?
I think that's what they would say. They'd get Saturn owners talking about loving their... They would just say, "I love my Saturn."
Everybody...
Still do.
Oh, maybe that's why I keep hearing it. Maybe everybody's just quoting the commercial
It's gotta be,
and I don't even realize it. That's hilarious. But yeah, what are your winter plans?
Yeah.
Usually it would be like taking a week or two to go see my family in Cuba, but this year we can't just because of like the situations going on over there. So for now, just staying home, cooking a lot of good food, and hanging out with my sister.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Yeah, trying to find time to paint too.
So you're a painter, that's your art form choice? Yeah.
Yes, painter, but I also love drawing and literally anything that I can do. Like, I just like creating stuff. Yeah, I work as an artist assistant at Mana Contemporary.
Oh, great.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who's assistant?
Carmen Neely.
Okay, I'm not familiar like with the name, but...
Large abstract painter, beautiful work.
Awesome.
But yeah, so I'm there for like 5 days out of the week, and then weekends I'm free. It's good though, but a lot of pressure because there's so many things you can just like mess up. Like one time I was walking down the hallway with like a whole tray of like, I don't know, pallets or something I was washing, and I tripped and my tray like sliced a hole in this painting.
Oh no.
That's like the #1 rule. I feel like in an art studio is like don't punch a hole in the painting.
Don't puncture a painting.
And I did it, so
Well, I'm glad you got that out of the way.
I got it out of the
good,
way.
yeah.
We moved on. It gives me secondhand embarrassment still thinking about it.
I can imagine.
But I bought the painting because I was like,
Nice.
they can't sell it.
Yeah. Well, you could repair it.
True, but I was just like, let me pay. Yeah. Ever since then, though, smooth sailing. Nothing happened.
Yeah. I can imagine. How long have you been there?
Probably, I want to say 6 months. Yeah. So it's a pretty recent job. But I've been an artist assistant for like 2.5 years for another artist, too. I really like that job.
That sounds awesome. That's something I'd never considered, actually.
Yeah, same.
It's great.
I did.
would love that.
I do everything. One time I was working for this artist and I was actually painting all of their work and they were selling it. And I was like the ghost painter for
That's
them.
fun.
I know
Yeah.
someone who does that in Chicago. I wonder if it was the same person. I mean, I don't think he's secretive about it. He has a workshop. It's pretty
The
common.
artist I worked for actually passed away, so.
Never mind. So it's
Yeah, I
not
know,
the same.
that wasn't the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they were paying me enough to be like, okay.
Right.
I would like hide my signatures in the painting.
That's fun.
That's
Oh my god.
great.
So I was like, fuck you. Can I swear? Is that okay?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Okay, good.
Just,
This sounds like an anything goes
just-
space.
Got it.
it is an anything goes space. Just,
Lovely.
Just try not to say anything that I'm gonna have to edit out later because that's just extra work for me.
Yeah, I got it.
And that's only in terms of what you don't want to be seen or heard saying.
For sure.
I have no interest in that, personally.
But yeah, so that was an experience.
That was almost legal.
No, it was.
Almost a contract,
but
my language right there.
Oh, no, yeah, I mean, what I was doing was under contract, but because the artist passed away, I'm like, I can
Sure.
share it now.
That's true.
Yeah.
You don't sign, did you sign a non-disclosure
I
agreement?
did.
Right.
Yeah, I did.
And then does it expire upon the death of the person?
Yeah.
I
I mean, they're not doing anything with the paintings.
Right, yeah.
So it's like, oh well.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, but nobody knows. But the artist I'm working for currently, I just prep surfaces. Like I'm not,
Cool.
like stretch canvases, like everything besides paint for her. Like contact the gallery, like handle shipments, receipts, tax stuff. So that's good for me because I'm learning all that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like
that's
I'm
huge experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they didn't teach none of that in art school, which
No
is
way.
like you should go to art school and that should be the only thing you learn.
I know,
And
there has to
painting
be a
should be
business
side.
component.
I'm just like shocked. Like I'm still baffled, but
That's another thing I'd consider doing is like creating a business for artists program, but I hadn't because I haven't mastered that yet. I like feel like I have to be good at business as an artist before I can create. Though like you can learn in a variety of ways, right?
Yeah.
Like my experience still does like translate, I think, in some ways. But anyway, all that to say, it needs to exist. would love to bring it to a community in some way.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be in a college, but like maybe a teenage or a high school program that even
Yes.
hints at these things.
For sure.
But you're right. They don't teach you any of that stuff.
Mm-mm.
No, they really don't. So yeah, that's the ideal thing to do is an apprenticeship with.
Yeah, for real.
I
Tell
don't
all
know.
the
I
artists.
mean,
out
it's
there.
not always going to be like your hero or something,
Right.
but it seems like that's an available option in most cities, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, every artist can use an assistant.
Sure.
There's
Yeah.
so many things. Everything I'm doing, I'm like, I want someone to do this for me. Like,
Please, all of it. Everything
Fair.
but what I'm doing right now, please.
Right. Like, the artist I work for, I'll be doing all the like tech stuff on the computer, and she's just like spends hours painting, and I love it. Like, it's great that like she can do that and stuff, but I'm like secretly, like, I'm like, I want that to be me one day. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, that's what a dream.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, one of the, I would say, least favorable parts of being nomadic is not having a studio and a place to paint and create in the way that I feel the most comfortable. Because I've been carrying around like art supplies and a sketchbook and an iPad. But like, I don't know why, but those things to me didn't compare to the process of painting enough, I guess, for me to do it regularly while on the road. So I'm hoping that when I do land, like, I do find my flow again painting, because like, again, I feel like that's what made it the hardest part about traveling is not painting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Unless I am doing like a job, like a sign or something, which I've been trying to do, and that has been like scratching that itch.
Yeah. Do you ever like go to studios along the way that might have like a space, if like you're in a set location for like a week or so, that might have like a space that you could paint in for a little bit?
I mean, I hadn't considered that. I mean, I had been moving so frequently over the last few months, though this year less so frequently, but that's something to consider. It's possible that the space I stay in too may be accommodating enough, but I'm still going to bring my iPad around, and I'm just going to keep trying to like use that.
Yeah.
Like, just keep trying to practice that. It's just, I feel like it's a foreign thing, but it's technology I want to get more comfortable with.
I think that each painting I do on Procreate, it makes me a better painter too, with oils even. You know, I think that
I feel that
the way that you can lay paint in and just with confidence or something, in the same way that you would have to lay a brush stroke in.
Yeah.
If you're not using the undo button every 10 seconds.
Oh gosh,
but,
undo, I wish I
But still,
had.
I mean, it's still, of course you're going to use it sometimes, but it's like it's a really useful tool.
Yeah, it absolutely
And you barely need to know how to use it in order to even get that basic benefit from it, I found.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is, that's about as complex as my understanding of it is.
Yeah, sometimes when I'm painting, I'll like use the double tap fingers. I found that one time.
Yeah.
I was
And
painting
triple,
oil
right?
paints. Yes.
Triple goes forward again, right?
Yeah, I just literally stopped and I was like, all right, we need to take a break. Like,
That was a good time to pause and
but
step back for a little bit.
Oh, so many times where I did something and I was like, I wish I had like an undo button for that. But I like Procreate a lot. Sometimes I'll use it, like I'll take a photo of what I'm painting and I'll put it into Procreate and edit it on Procreate, and then I'll do those edits on my painting, especially when I'm really stuck. Like, that helps a lot.
Yeah, that was the first time I tried that. I did an artist residency last year, so it kicked off my nomadic journey. Well, I guess it started a little before that, but on my own was an art residency in Yellowstone, and I was able to like go into Procreate, put the text over the painting where I was doing like text work, or like arrange the sketch and like build it like Photoshop. It's so awesome. It's so helpful. It's like one of the coolest and best tools.
How do you have
for $10? Like,
how do you have a record?
I know, right?
What's the record of that time like in Yellowstone?
What do you mean record?
The work that you made.
Oh, right.
How did you record that?
I set up sometimes the iPad, but I had all of my technology. I had my phone, my iPad, and my my computer. And then I did have a camera, but I wasn't using the camera as much because all of those things have cameras.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, sometimes I would film with the iPad, sometimes I would film with the phone. I did a few time lapses, but I tried to like track the process as much as I could, from like sketches to, you know, even the Procreate sketches that I had created, which, yeah, Procreate.
Not sponsored
did
at
you
all.
write?
What's up?
Did you write about your time there?
I didn't, but I want to.
Yeah,
like
you
that.
always can revisit that. Yeah.
I like used to journal just innately growing up. I just like wanted to journal as soon as I like learned how to write, basically, and that's a habit that I got out of, sadly. And if I
It's worth doing.
yeah, if I had done it, like I guess I would have all those fresh memories. But it's not too late to start, and I can probably journal and.
Yeah.
Well, it helps that I have the photos. I would like to like go back, look at the photos of what I was up to, journal about it for maybe like 10 minutes a day. Maybe that's my project this year.
That's a good idea.
And then I thought about making a book on what I've been up to, because
it sounds like a reality show to me.
it's wild.
It's intense.
It's crazy. I used to live in a campground, and I left the campground, and then I because I was isolated there for 3 years, and then I left to go explore.
So the campground, I never got a chance to really talk to you about that.
Yeah.
How much do you want to tell me about it?
Oh, I mean, as
I'm curious about what you were up to, because I remember seeing that you were moving away and just being like, oh, that's too bad.
yeah, I mean, I had lived in Chicago my whole life.
There's my
Where'd you grow up?
contribution to this story.
In Chicago.
In Chicago too, yeah. So I lived in Chicago my whole life. By the time I was 34, I would move to Michigan. Like, I'd only lived in Chicago up until that point. And then I moved to Michigan with my partner at the time to start a campground wedding venue, like farm business. And when it all became too much and the partnership fell apart, I left. And then I came back to Chicago, but only for like enough time to return my stuff to a storage unit. And then I hit the road to go to Georgia, so I could like recover in Georgia. It was May when I left. It was early May, so it was still cold in the Midwest. And like I had a lot to do, a lot of like mental and physical health like to rebuild. And like I felt like it was like perfect. And then I kept it going. I was in like Indiana for a month, and then back in Chicago for the summer, and then stayed for the summer, and then that residency in Montana brought me out west. And then where was I going with this? Oh, the campground. So the campground was just like a business. Sorry, I like segued into that.
No,
but like
these conversations go.
the campground was like an intense like partnership business idea that just, like I said, became too much, because I think, you know, we did stuff like animals before the infrastructure. Like my partner was like, let's open a campground. And I was like, that sounds great. And then he was like, let's do all these other things. Like, let's have goats and ducks. Let's make it a permaculture campground. So like we have to have these animals get involved with how we maintain the land. But then that became its own maintenance. So I was becoming a campground owner, an animal husbandry person. And like, I'm from fucking Chicago with like no like country experience or anything. We had a house that was high maintenance. It had a wood burning stove. So like I was hauling wood in the winter. It was such a physical time, which is like one of the reasons why it didn't work out for me. As a personal trainer, I was like, I got this. Like, I'll be able to handle this. But like, honestly, there weren't enough calories there to like fuel what we were doing. Like, I was in charge of the food. It was just like me and one other person out there. So like on top of all the other work and like having a cook and like being in the middle of nowhere, it became too much. So like when I couldn't handle it, I left. But like the campground still exists. I'm still like.
What's the name of it? Do you mind sharing? Yeah. Is that okay? Is
sure.
that too much?
Sure. No. It's fine. It's not my business anymore.
Sure.
It's but he like sold the goats. I think he's got like a bunch of ducks there now. It's a lovely property. So I'd love to see it develop into like the wedding venue / campground it's meant to be, and it's called Hurt Valley Springs. It's in Southwest Michigan. It's like between Kalamazoo and South Haven along Interstate 43, which runs across the state of Michigan. It's a cool little spot.
Cool.
But I couldn't
But
anymore.
So would you say that kind of got you into the nomadic sort of adventurer lifestyle? Because it sounds like that was a huge life shift.
Yeah, I guess so. After having left Chicago, going to the campground was its own adventure. I loved it in a lot of ways. I loved taking care of the animals. I was good at it. It was great. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot in the whole experience about myself, about plants, animals, running a business. That's where I started my sign painting, like segue. Like I was like, I want to paint the signs for the campground. And then, sorry, repeat that last part of the question again.
It seems like that was a huge
shift.
It was
right?
a big shift, and I wondered if that was, how much influence that had on your desire to sort of pursue that adventurer, searcher, nomadic lifestyle you're talking about.
Right. And so like on that property, we were kind of glued there. We didn't leave because there was so much work to do and animals to take care of. Mm-hmm. So I felt very isolated for a while, or after a while. Like we would have friends come and visit, but I was there all the time for like 3 years straight. It felt like we didn't visit Chicago very often after we had moved there full time. We were there part time for a little while.
Yeah.
And then so that really, I think, after having spent so many time on one property and not leaving that much, even though it was, like I was taking in a lot, but I think I needed time to like step away and balance out and visit friends and like balance out my life in some way that I wasn't able to get at the time. And yeah, like it really, I left that relationship and that property like ready to reconnect with people and connect with family and people I haven't seen in a long time or have never met or have never seen, like extended family that live out Southwest and things like that. So yeah, it did. I feel like that experience did lead to the other. I don't know that I would have been a nomad just straight out of Chicago the way that I took it on after having been on a campground for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if I had never done the campground, I would never had like the balls to do this nomadic thing, because that shift from Chicago to the campground was a huge shift. And I was like, oh, if I could do that and learn about animal husbandry, I could drive across the United States. Yeah. But yeah, and I'm 37, and so like it took me, I don't know, a long time to, I think,
I'm
like
37.
Feel like, yeah, you are. When's your birthday?
Sense. March 12th.
Yeah, that's right. I was like, you're an Aries, Pisces?
Pisces. Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Pisces,
yeah. Anyway, when's your birthday?
June 22nd.
June 22nd. Have you ever been on like a big road trip or moved across the country? Well, moved across the country at any point?
I've never moved across the country, but I always would go on road trips with my family. Like we would travel so much, like when we were all living together. But yeah, I've always kind of wanted to move somewhere very far away. Like somewhere where you can't like turn right and you're back to where like I love the feeling of just being somewhere where it's like I can't go home from here, somewhere where it's like kind of really, really like far away. Like I think it's exciting, so you're like forced to be like in the unknown territory and like forced to like make your own way. So I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, I love being in those places if I can.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen mountains, I think. I don't like that feeling.
Oh, I know the mountains are the best.
I feel that way about the ocean. Yeah, I would love to just be able to go to the ocean at least like once a year.
Yeah.
But I just haven't been able to travel, just because COVID and then...
Right.
Living expenses are getting more expensive, so...
Right, I know, it's crazy. Does like Michigan ever scratch that itch for you?
No.
Not in the same way?
No, I went on a road trip to Michigan with my friend who's from Georgia, and we were just going to the beach, and we were like waiting in line in our cars to like pay a little fee to go see the dunes or whatever, and there was like a sign that said E. coli level, good. And my friend like looked at it, and he was like, I'm only going in when it says none, like good E. coli. So Lake Michigan for me is cute to look at.
Yeah.
Like, I go sit by the water, but normally I don't really go inside the water.
Right. No, I don't usually either.
Yeah, it takes
Depending on
quite a
what
bit
part.
of booze to get me in that lake.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fun. That's
It's
fine.
fine.
After
Yeah,
that,
it's
I'm
fine.
like, okay, we're going in.
Yeah.
But
Those situations have been more at nighttime than at daytime for me.
oh, yeah.
I'm not a daytime beach person, I don't think.
Yeah,
But-
in the summer though, I would go to. They have these drag shows at the beach sometimes, and
Awesome.
so fun. It was just like they'll do it maybe like 3 times in the summer. But there's this account called Drag and Drop on Instagram, and they'll post like random drag events that are gonna happen, and they'll do one at Hollywood Beach. Like, and it's just a great time. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a great time.
That's
like,
so awesome.
mhm.
Did you say yes beach?
Best beach.
The best
Oh.
beach.
the best beach.
Yes beach would have been
But
funny
yes,
also.
beach is also
Yes.
accurate.
Yes. Exactly.
So what happens if I have to hit the restroom? Do we like pause?
No, we don't need to pause.
Okay, great.
We'll find something else to talk about.
Okay.
Or we'll talk about you.
Oh, cool.
Watch out.
I guess now's a good time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Out of the way.
Okay, the ocean.
Yes.
Which ocean?
Any ocean.
Okay.
I'm definitely not picky. I love the salt water. I love being kind of freaked out by the life inside the water.
Mm-hmm.
And just how powerful the waves are, and you feel like you're gonna die sometimes if like you get like rolled over by a wave. It's just like
You lose
a
the
great
close-up,
experience.
Chris. There it is.
But yeah.
I'll switch it back soon.
Oh, it's all good. You can keep it on me. I don't care.
I'm curious. You said Cuba, right?
Yeah.
How much are you connected with Cuba? What's your time spent in Cuba like? I could ask that in a better way.
No, it's okay.
How much time have you spent in Cuba?
Well, I started going to visit my family when I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
And we stayed like 2 weeks, just visiting them, and it was a very like shocking experience. And then after that, we would go once a year, probably for 2 weeks, and then right before the pandemic, I went for about like a month and a half, which was very intense, and like I probably would never do that again. In the summertime too, so that was hot. But I would say I'm pretty well connected with my family in Cuba. Social media helps that a lot, just
Mhm.
because like I can't see them all the time.
Which family members are there?
Well, my grandma had 9 siblings, and she was she was the only one to come to the U.S.
Mhm.
So, like, cousins upon cousins, like, you'll go there and be like,
Cool.
we're related. Like, you go into the town and you're like, are you Belane's granddaughter? Like, we
That's
know
fun.
you. Oh my
That's
god,
pretty
it's
cool.
so funny. Like, the gossip travels faster than telephones in that town. Like, it's wild.
You can't text that fast.
No. Like, I was walking down this deserted road with my she's not my cousin, but I call her my cousin, with Diamela, and we were walking down, and this dude in a huge tractor, like old rusty tractor, comes down the road. He stops the tractor and he's like, you guys going to OCL's house, like my cousin? And I was like, yeah, like, who are you? And they, I don't remember what they said, but they're like, hop in. So we just like rode this rusty tractor all the way down to like their house and stuff. But there's a lot of funny connections over there. But yeah, I try to talk to them a lot, but it's difficult because sometimes electricity goes out a lot, so they don't have access to phones, or they can't pay their phones there, and the Wi-Fi is only in the center park. Like, you don't have it in your house. It's like in the center park.
I see.
Yeah, so they have to like connect
Communal
there.
area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I have a lot of family that's recently come from Cuba. There's a huge migration right now. Like 10,000 people are coming from Cuba over to the U.S. And
I didn't know that.
I know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
So much other news, I guess,
I
that
don't
people are
know.
Why is
hung up on
there-
maybe.
Oh, sorry. Why is there such a mass evacuation?
The country, just the state of it is, like, decomposing. Like, everything about it is just falling apart. People are starving. People are suffering.
No resources are going on into the island or towards the island, right?
I don't know too much about the resources, but I know they're not being given to the people.
Right.
If there is stuff, there's none of it's for the people. Like, children don't have milk. They can't eat. If you're under the age of 5, you don't get soap in your rations. If you're over the age of 65, you don't get soap in your like, you don't. It's, like, literally decomposing.
That sucks.
I know. That's why we can't go back right now, because, like, the food insecurities, like, you don't know if you can get food. My grandma's from this farm town. So in the bigger cities, you might be able to find stuff, but in the smaller towns, it's, like, there's nothing there. Yeah, so, and actually a lot of artists are being disappeared and jailed. Like, there's this huge movement of artists this year on July 11th that were throwing these protests, which is like a death penalty for you if you protest in the street. Like, they'll just come to your house and take you and steal you, and your family won't even know where you are. But a lot of
crazy
artists.
For me to hear. I didn't know any of that.
That's why, since I'm here and, like, my family is Cuban, like, I'm like, and I'm an artist, I'm like, what else can I be making work about? Like, I have such a privileged position that it's like, I have to talk about this, or there's no point in painting, like, for me. But, yeah, so it's really intense to, like, learn about, but it is crazy that it's like, it's a 30-minute flight from Florida, and, like, we don't hear anything about it.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. There's a painting of yours that I saw.
Yeah.
And it's a woman with a machete and a baby. Is this illustrating this kind of desperation? Or when was that painting made?
I made that...
Pretty intense. Pretty good painting.
Thank you. I made that last year. It was part of another painting too, with my cousin chopping up a pig for dinner and blood going on the fruit. But it's basically like, that's how I felt like I wanted to be a protector for the women in Cuba, and, like, what I experienced seeing how they were treated. I just feel like violence was almost like, I wanted to like almost like chop the head off
Rising up
of all the men. Like, I really did, because women are just treated like street dogs. Like, straight up just street dogs. Like, so basically that painting is my cousin. She's, like, a caregiver. Like, she does everything for the house. She does the accounting for the house. She, like, takes care of the children that are in the neighborhood, like, the backbone of everything, but would be treated, like, worthless. And so I just felt like I wanted to have some sort of outlet to invoke a force that would be the protector, or, like, it's called her rage. It's like what builds up inside. And that painting is really shocking for people, because I don't think that...
It's good.
Like,
it's gripping.
Like, people are, like, not used to that, like, force. It's so direct, and it's like almost she's, like, screaming at you. And, like, that's just how it felt.
No, I feel like you see a woman with a baby in a painting, and you're expecting to have like an invited feeling,
right?
You know,
right.
So that was a neat thing to see.
Like Marie Cassatt, like the tenderness and, like, the caring and stuff. But yeah, so I just thought it was powerful, because she's, like, protecting this child who's also a male child. That's the son of the doctor of the town, but, like, fighting against the older men, the men in her life.
Crazy.
Yeah. Tis crazy. Yeah. I'm such a slow painter, though. I'm a slow cooker. Like, so I have a few more I'm working on, but I, like, take my time. There's one I'm working on for 5 years.
Wow. That is a while.
I know, and there's no rush.
Sometimes.
No.
Right.
Sometimes there's about a 2-hour time period.
Yeah.
Exactly. I guess you're creating these
on occasion,
limitations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I think, yeah, the kind of development that's coming out of this show for me is really, really cool. To me.
Yeah.
Which is the most important part, I think.
That's
true.
100%.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I'm getting a lot out of it selfishly. But otherwise, it just feels like it's just a big gift. It's not... Yeah, nobody's making money on this show.
This was an easy thing to say yes to, because I was like, oh, you paint while we get to talk and, like, get to know a little bit about each other or catch up or whatever it is. And that sounds great to me. I don't know. I love people. That's why I left the campground to travel across the United States. Everyone I've visited is somebody, or everywhere I've gone is somebody that I know, unless I stopped at, like, a national park. And I got to reconnect with family that, like I mentioned, I'd never met before. But that led to an adventure later in the year to Hawaii. Like, I reconnected with my family in Nevada, who have roots in Hawaii. And they invited me out to Hawaii to come, like, see the property, see the compound, see where they grew up. And... Awesome. That wouldn't have happened if I didn't leave the campground. And
you probably meet so many cool people.
I met like, I got to mingle with my family. I met a couple of really rad folks, to be sure. And and it just kept going. And I think I really embraced my friendliness this year. I think on this journey and being in so many new places, like, it allowed me to, like, really get in touch with how social I really am. But it also was followed by days of, like, not wanting to move, resting in the bed that I was staying in. Like, sometimes I would drive to a place for 8 hours, land, and just want to not leave the house for 2 or 3 days, even though I was in a new, exciting place. I was just exhausted. And then top that on, add on to that, like, the social aspect of it. It could get tiring, but for the most part, it was incredibly rejuvenating. And yeah, I would do it again. I am doing it again.
Yeah,
I'm doing it again. One more time. And then I need to settle. I need a studio again. I need to make art. And yeah, I'm getting that. So I will say, like, just to kind of add on to, like, that thing I said before about not having a studio, there's been guilt added on to not creating. Like, oh, I haven't created. Why haven't I created?
You're not an artist anymore.
Oh, what's happening?
Yeah, you won't remember. That's what I was
totally. Everyone's going to think I'm a fraud.
Right.
Yeah.
A poser.
I feel like an imposter. But I was talking to one of my good friends who's a gallery owner and an artist, and he's like, Kris, you're just getting input right now. You got to have the input to create the output. And I was like, oh.
Soaking it in.
Thank you for saying so. Like, that was so comforting. You're right. I need to soak. So I'm like marinating. Stan Klein, he owns Firecat Projects.
Okay, I don't think I know him.
Firecat Projects.
I know that project.
Yeah, it's like an awesome nonprofit, like, gallery space.
I don't know much about it. Do you mind?
Sure, yeah. Nonprofit gallery space, so they show artists who are new, like, up and coming, if you will. They don't have to be young. They could be in their 60s and just getting started. But in order to give them an opportunity to show and get connected to a network, they don't take any commission from the sales of their the pieces. You can price your pieces whatever price you want. And they bring in a really good connection of folks, in my experience and the shows that I've been to. And then plus he hooks you up with knowledge. And, the last show I was at, he was trying to share with this artist who takes, like, a month to create a drawing that's 5 inches by 7 inches, right? It takes them an entire month to create a drawing this big. He's like, if you create prints of this type, like etchings, you could spend a month on a piece, but also make 50 of them. And, like, trying to connect them with the people that have the studios or the infrastructure to do that. And I was like, man, Stan, you're the best. Yeah. And he just, like, out of his butt was just like, yeah, you're just getting input right now. And I was like, oh, thank you, Stan. Like, so I've got to, like, maybe journal some of this input. Or, you get inspired by something that's going on in the world. I think it's important to take inspiration from what's around you. I often paint garbage, which is, like, its own weird commentary. But, like, I could always paint something else.
I like the garbage.
I like the garbage too. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So, we first met in art school. What year was that?
I
didn't graduate. I dropped out of that school.
Right, yeah. I started at the academy in 2003. Where did you go to college?
I went to the Art Institute.
Okay, right on. Right across the street.
Right, yeah. That was always thought by the students at our school, I felt like, to be the nemesis or something. Like that was... Yeah, but they're just...
It was the antithesis of the traditional school that we were at.
Exactly, yeah. Because everything was so focused on illustration and, the traditional skill set. Mm-hmm. And then that was such a concept-driven school that it was like a... They loved to...
like push you outside of your comfort zone, it seems.
I think it was like they liked just... What our school liked was to try to make itself somehow better by comparing it to that one. It didn't.
Right.
It didn't make. It wasn't necessary. It's not like you're not approaching the same marketplace.
It's true. They would kind of always be like, "Oh, unlike the School of the Art Institute," and I'd always understand that it was different.
It's always a point of reference. Where it's not the same thing.
That's so funny. I did actually, it was very conceptual, but I did a lot of scientific illustration when I was at the Art Institute. I found the classes for that, and I did all anatomical illustration. Like for the 4 years that I was there, I was doing mostly charcoal illustrations, and then my last year I took an oil painting course, and then I started oil painting in maybe 2018. But I was also working at a cadaver lab during that time for like 4 years, which was really fun.
What was that like?
It was great.
It's a new one. I haven't heard anybody who's done that.
Cadaver lab.
It was great. Like, the people who worked there had such a funny humor. Like,
of course,
it was great. Like, one time they were looking at thoracic ducts, which is in the throat, and the head doctor was like to the students, because I would always go during like their class times, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, come look at this thoracic duct, it's so big, someone come and look at this." So he had the students do like the surgical precision in the cadaver to open it up, and pulls out this like rubber duck, like a big rubber duck, a thoracic duck.
Oh.
And everyone just starts laughing.
Right, not a duct. Right.
So the vibe in there is just great. Like,
that's cute.
It's comedic. It's like I'm waiting for a body to move, because there would be like 30 bodies in there at times, and I would be there alone.
Like human bodies. Cadavers, right, I see.
Wow, crazy.
And I'd be like, because I love horror movies, I love scary stuff, and I'm waiting, I'm like, move, I'm like listening for a crinkle. And nothing. So it was actually very peaceful.
Yeah.
Like, it was a very peaceful environment. Like, it made me, like, respect humans a lot. Like, humans as, like...
the vessel?
Yeah.
Like the part that carries the soul.
And then also, like, just so appreciative of the people who decided to, like, donate themselves. Yeah. For so many people to learn. Like, all these people learned so much to save lives. Like, it was great.
Is it true that they take the butt first?
What?
I've never heard of that. It depends on what.
Like remove your colon?
One time at the DMV.
At the DMV?
I was waiting.
This is great.
I was waiting in line during this long line outside during COVID and during the pandemic stuff.
Oh my gosh.
The lockdown. And there was this guy in front of me, and it turned out he worked he was just like a general worker at this mortuary.
Okay, so yeah.
And he said a lot of the people who come in, the donor bodies, they cut their asses off.
All right.
Like he said that's like such useful tissue.
Oh.
That's like the most useful tissue.
Because there's so much there?
Yeah. It's funny.
That's interesting. And that's talking about organ donors? Like, for organ donors? Okay.
Yeah. And the eyes and all the stuff.
Yeah, but that's really interesting.
He specifically mentioned that. And then he proceeded to show me a bunch of photos on his phone of different gunshot victims. And I was like, you're lucky that you're talking to me.
I'm not sure if that's legal.
Yeah, I was like, you're lucky you're talking to me. And like, all the people around us were just like, what? So I got his phone number.
Interesting.
He said, if you ever want to come and
that'd be cool.
Draw some dead bodies.
That would be different because they're not preserved.
I don't think I'm gonna contact him.
Yeah. I would. Maybe, but
I mean,
depends.
he was really, really kind. Right after he walked me to the subway, to the Green Line, like, somebody got onto the train behind me. He was like, "You need to watch out. These guys are casing you." So these guys were like, this guy got onto the train behind me, and he sat down behind me in the chair, and I'm like, okay.
Oh gosh.
So he forced me to buy heroin from him, like in front of a guy who was just an off-duty security guard and a woman with her baby. And
What?
yeah, he forced me to buy heroin off of him, like under threat of violence. And so I, of course, tried to barter with him.
Right, like,
Yeah,
great a
I'm just
deal.
like, well, no, I'm not giving you like $60 for that. It's like that's not $60 worth of heroin.
Damn.
It was just like, I wound up giving him 40 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started flirting with the woman with her baby, and she was charmed by him. Just watch this happen.
it's a Chicago experience. That's literally the flavors of Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I
that's
was
true.
driving down the street the other day, and there was, like...
For the sake of the story ending,
Sure.
I guess I just let the heroin fall out of my pocket. I didn't keep it.
Yeah.
I was kind enough to give you
I
some
was like-
heroin. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
You were kind enough to gift it to the streets.
Yeah,
Back to the streets.
pretended that I wasn't just robbed
Back
in
to
front
the
of a off-duty security guard who couldn't have given one less shit.
literally a Chicago story.
Yeah.
Did you want to switch the camera back
Hmm?
to both?
We'll do that periodically
Okay.
throughout, after the break, probably.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was driving down the street the other day, and I was, like, looking at a bus stop, and there was, like, a businessman, an old abuelita, there was, like, a family, a woman with a baby, like, classic, just, like, people on their way to work. And then there was this dude, like, right at that bus sign, like, shaking the bus sign, his eyes rolled back, he's like, like, screaming, and everyone's just, like, on their phone. Everyone's just, like, not doing anything, chilling, and then they get on the bus, and I was just like, this is, like, a Chicago scene right here. Like, all this chaos, and then people just trying to go on their daily work. No one's doing anything. Like, it's just... It's odd. My sense of humor may be from being in the cadaver lab, but I just, like, laugh because I'm like, that's fucked up.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in a crazy city.
Yeah.
I still, like, Chicago's interesting because when someone's in crisis, it's sort of like I was trained to kind of just look the other way
Yeah.
or, like, keep walking because I'm like, I'm so busy with doing my own thing. Like, I have to get to school or I have to get to work. I can't deal with this right now.
Yeah.
And, like, that kind of conditioning is weird as a person who appreciates people, I think, because, like, I do feel like I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, no, I wish I could do more for this person. I don't know what to do. But what I've always done is at least still try to acknowledge the people who have a hard time, at the very least. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or, like, ask them, but you can only get so far sometimes.
Yeah, for me, it's like, I'm nervous that, like, I don't know, I've been, like, attacked before on the street just from random people, so for me, it's like, I do have to look the other way.
Right.
Like, nodding, just don't interact is, like, the best, because I don't know why, but people find me very approachable on the street sometimes, so many people will just, like, walk up to me and just, like, I don't know, just have random conversations, but, like, not in a good way.
Right.
You know what I mean? The people that are kind of, like, scary will walk up to me.
Right.
Like, sit right next to me on the bus and, like, look at me and just, like, start talking. And I'm just like, please. That's why I don't take the bus.
Yeah, I see. I've either tolerated people well enough or haven't had, I guess, situations traumatic enough to keep me from, like, looking people in the eye and smiling at them sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not smiling at everyone, but I'll smile at a lot of people. And I don't know, like, those... I guess I'm grateful for that. So and those experiences or those like exchanges in a weird way are fulfilling, but like I'm sure if I had experienced certain assault or trauma that I would not be acknowledging of that people in that way. But I feel like, sorry, I just keep like flip-flopping, but like I feel like without that sort of interaction,
it's hard to take a hard stand on. No, I don't interact with people, just as a general rule.
Right. It's like
that's yeah, you can't take a hard stand on that. There are exceptions.
And I feel like everybody should be acknowledged at a certain point, and like, I don't know, homeless people, like you see a lot of people like just ignoring them, but I'll be like, no, I'm sorry, like I can't, or I'll be like, I can't help you out today, or like here's some food instead or something, like, but I won't just like be like, I don't know, stone cold not look at, I mean, the situations are different. There's people having a mental health breakdown, but then there are people who are like, well, there are some people who are unhoused who will be like, or claim, or, you know, they'll panhandle a little too aggressively. And like those are the situations where I'm still like, I'm sorry, I can't help you, but like that can get kind of rough sometimes too, because they sort of almost pressure you to give, and if you don't have something to give, it does feel weird, you know, or you don't want to feel pressured. I don't know, it's weird.
Sure.
It's an interaction based social game, it feels like, to get what you want out of another person. I'm like, you can't be too pushy about it, man. Like, you're not gonna get $1 out of me being like that. You know? I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know. It's weird. I still feel bad even
what
in
do you
those
call
cases
etiquette?
sometimes. Yeah, it's
There's
like
some kind of street etiquette for that
there ought to
behavior.
be.
There could be some kind of okay.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well,
this joke could go haywire real fast, so I'm just gonna stop while I'm behind. Okay.
I don't know. I'll try to get out of Chicago soon, but I mean, I'm gonna move to Detroit likely, and Detroit's not gonna be. Detroit's gonna be different, and it's still gonna be a city. I'm not gonna not deal with those things, and I'm not worried about that either. That's not why I'm moving from Chicago to Detroit. I just want to go to a less dense space, but I also like the idea of being closer to nature and being in a city. I think Detroit will be a good fit. We'll see.
Yeah, I wondered about it.
It's growing right now.
A couple guests recently were from Detroit.
Oh, cool.
Well, or lived there. They weren't from. It's not a place I've ever been. Have you been?
Right?
No.
Yeah, I know, and I hadn't really spent any time.
I haven't had a reason
recently.
to. I think the only reasons that most of my friends were going were like the electronic music festival, you know, stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. Do you have any plans on like sticking with or leaving Chicago at any point?
Right now, I think I'm gonna stay for at least the next 2-3 years. But I would love to do a residency somewhere outside of the country. I would love to go to Berlin, possibly. So it's been on my radar. I've been doing a lot of residency research for the artist I'm working for.
Cool.
So I'm kind of just like looking at ones in like France, Berlin, and a lot of places around Europe. So I'm just like dreaming as I'm like looking at places. So I would love to, but right now I feel like I need to get more financially secure in order to be able to like afford some of them, because some of them can be kind of expensive. Like going there, some offer free room board. Like there's some that will even like pay you to stay there.
That's
and
helpful.
Give you a stipend.
That's so helpful. Yeah, you need that.
Some of them do that, which I'm like, everyone should do that, because it's like, I don't know. I would just love that.
It's a, what is it otherwise? It's like a yacht club?
Yeah, you pay to get in. Like, so yeah, definitely. And that's why I don't know, that's kind of what I've been thinking about.
Yeah, I love that.
Too.
You ought to.
I will.
That's so exciting.
All right. I can't say for sure what time we started.
I can't either.
But I like to keep these within 2 hours, so we should probably take a break and just kind of have some crackers, drink some wine.
Sounds great.
say as many mean things as we can off camera.
Got it.
About as many mean people that we can think of.
Yeah, you can ask me even like questions that I won't answer on the podcast.
Yeah.
Too, if you want to hear.
Great.
Happy New Year's.
All right, so usually when it's someone's birthday, I say Happy New Year to them instead of Happy Birthday. Because what the hell is January 1st to anyone except for people who were born on January 1st? And I think that's fun. It's just a fun way to be countercultural and stupid.
No, I hear that. No, it always feels like it.
Yeah, so it being New Year's Eve.
Yes.
When we're recording this, the other holiday that's coming up is your New Year.
Yes.
It's Kris Smith.
Kris Smith.
Kris Smith?
Mm-hmm. Which is my name.
Yeah.
Love it.
So, I don't mean to hijack your story.
No, it's fine. But yeah, it does feel like a new year, but plus it does align with the new year, right? Like it's like a week before the general new year, so it does always feel like a reflective time of year.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I mean, every time New Year's comes around, I'm like, I'm just happy to be alive. We made it one more, you know what I mean? I'm like, thank you. Even no matter, I got all this horrible shit, or if there's something you've been through, literally, like, if it's someone's birthday, if it's Happy News, I'm just like, thank you. You know, I'm happy you're alive. Like, you know?
For real.
Oh, yeah. I feel like since I was in the cadaver lab, and I've had, like, a lot of people in my life die, I feel like it just makes life so much more, like, exciting, you know?
It's true. In a weird way. It, like, makes you appreciate something about your life or something or drives home a lesson that maybe you didn't realize before. And it's not always the same one. And it's not always, like, I don't know. Can you relate to that? Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, in many ways, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because it just makes me see that it's like every single thing we're worrying about, it will go away one day. Like, so focus more on, like, the people who, like, care for you and, you know, because one day you won't worry about anything. It'll just, even the debt, like, your possessions, everything that you have that you think is, like, you, who you are, like, your ego, like, it won't, like, really matter in the end. So you have to really focus on, like, what matters. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going too deep on that, but that's what, just seeing all that makes me, like...
It's true, though.
Yeah, because some people have asked me, like, does that make you depressed? Like, I've had people come to, like, my shows and, like, are you depressed? Like, people just will ask me, and I was like, not talking about these things is what makes people depressed. Is worse than having an outlet and expressing these I don't know, ideas about death. People are just, I guess in the US too, are really afraid to talk about death. Or it makes them uncomfortable. Like,
that's why our friend is right there.
Yes. Do they have a name?
I just usually call him Scully.
Scully.
Yeah.
Like the X-Files.
Yeah. It's easy enough, you know?
Beautiful.
Easy to remember.
Where'd you get it?
Yeah.
I think it's from some medical supply company. So it's got some kind of accuracy to it.
Yeah.
So you can take the skull cap off.
Yeah, the teeth look
and you can see that it was definitely molded from a skull. And it's not just like a sculpture.
Yeah, it's got some nuance to it.
Yeah.
In the curvature.
It's cool.
Yeah, it could be like a popcorn bowl for Halloween.
It was actually.
Oh,
that's where I put the grapes. That's where I put the grapes, and then in the the cranium, I've used it as a bowl for the cashews or something.
I love it. Love Scully.
Yeah, that's got to be in every episode. Or yeah, he's got to be in every episode.
Somewhere in the basement.
Yeah, just kind of moves around.
Love it.
I know it comes up a lot, but you know, not everybody watches every episode, so I'll say why Scully's in the picture, and it's to remind us that we're all gonna die, and that is the biggest thing we have in common with anybody.
Yeah, for real.
That's why. Yeah, you're
definitely
so right
gonna
about that.
die, for sure.
Right.
And I think that really can bring us together.
Same.
In a weird way, I've come to accept my death like at any moment, and anytime I think about it, I don't feel bad about it. Like I don't feel anxiety or worry or fret. I'm like, people will be fine. I'll be whatever. Like it'll be fine.
Everyone's gonna be fine.
I won't exist.
Some people will make some self-promotional social media posts.
And I say this as somebody who hasn't like really, let's say, like ideated suicide. I just mean like I really love life, but I feel like doing what I do, like driving across the country, like I feel like driving is one of the riskiest things you could do as a person, and I'm gonna do a lot of it. I'm like, man, if I die in a car accident, that's cool. Like at least I'm doing what I want to do, you know. But like, yeah, I've become more accepting of it. I feel like, which is really relieving, you know, as a human. Like you said, we don't talk about it that much as a culture. I feel like we fear death a lot. We fear. Obviously, it sucks to lose someone. I would hate.
Yeah.
To suffer the loss of one of my friends at any point, or family, but like, yeah, it's just it's still a part of life, you know, and it's grief. I feel like understanding grief is the aspect of life that we need to learn how to work through. It's not like the fact that death is what it is. It's just that we don't know how to deal with it. We've never been taught how to deal with it appropriately, maybe.
Yeah.
American culture is so interesting because it doesn't really, it seems to wash away all the aspects of the cultures that came to build America, right? Which is unfortunate, but like, and when you get in touch with your ancestry, there seems to be more acknowledgement or like ways of coping with these taboo things like death. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why I think it's important to connect with your ancestry if you've lived in America for generations, but yeah, why not also? I don't know. Yeah, there are different ways of coping with grief.
I definitely think like knowing like a loved one is going to die, like I'm being aware of that, like, and it makes the time with them so sacred and special and precious, even if they don't have cancer or anything that's like very immediate. Like really makes you like want to save certain memories. And then when they eventually do pass away, it's like there's no guilt for like time lost, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's beautiful, and I feel that. That's awesome.
Wait, I have a question. Was there a book in either of your guys' lives that you feel like was very influential to you to have read? And book could also be like a movie or something like that you watched or like you read or you saw that you like think about a lot or influenced you.
Yeah, there are so many. But I feel like if I trace back to my earlier memories, it was some of the illustrated children's novels that I read. Like there was an awesome one that I loved called like The True Story of the Big Bad Wolf. And it was like the Bad Wolf's version. But like you could tell he was like kind of fudging. He was like, oh, those poor pigs just ran into me breathing, or, you know, like that wasn't a fire. I was smoking a cigarette and then I accidentally, oh no, it was, you know, and it was, he was so sly, but like the illustrations are just bored into my brain. And those are some of like the formative imagery of like me, I think, wanting to like paint or become an artist. So I'd say like, even to go that far back and not even like a book that was as verbal as like as visual that one was. It was very formative because it was like, oh yeah, you learn this side, but what about this side? And I think that book was formative because it kind of taught me that there's like everybody's got a side to their story, Like, you can only take what somebody tells you for face value. Obviously, you've heard the pig side of the story, and that big bad wolf came and, like, made them, like, victims and stuff. And anyway, it just is interesting.
That is really interesting. It would be funny to see, like, the lawsuit that the pigs had against the wolf and him trying to defend in court. Like, no, I was just smoking a cigarette.
For sure.
Yeah, that sounds awesome, though.
I like to try to figure out which kind of pig I am at any given time in my life. I don't think I've ever been a brick pig.
Yeah.
Not for the brick pig.
No. I think stick pig's a good place to be for me.
Stick pig for life. Born stick pig, I'll die a stick pig.
Born a straw pig for sure.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
I feel like
I
in
made it
middle
to stick
class.
pig
Yeah, I don't
so
know.
far. Brick pigs in the future, I think. But brick pig's not here today.
May the brick pig forever be in everyone's future. Without the impending wolf scenario.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, the brick pig actually survives, right?
Yeah, brick pig actually kills the wolf and eats him, I think. Not totally sure.
Right. Was that the same wolf that got Little Red Riding Hood?
I don't know. It depends on which era you're in, you know. Today, maybe people have multiple jobs.
There are many wolves out there. That one wolf can't just be causing all that mischief. Some of them do, though. Or coyotes, but I guess that's not a wolf. I was just thinking about coyotes that I've, like, sort of encountered.
Yeah. They're kind of like tricksters.
Definitely sneaky. Like the wolf was.
How about you? Could you answer that question?
Yeah, when you were talking about, like, children's illustration books, I definitely think there's many too that I would say, but the one that I feel like it influenced a lot of, like, my art is this Dragonology book. It was like a book that I had gone to Barnes & Noble. Like, I love Barnes & Noble.
Oh, I love
just walking in and looking at all the books. Like, I didn't even buy anything sometimes.
Yeah, that was a hangout spot for sure.
Yes, and sometimes there was a coffee shop. It was great. I love bookstores. But this Dragonology book, it had texture on it. So, like, for my textural needs, like, I was just, like, loving it. But it was basically, like, the scientific illustrator followed this scientist that knew a lot about dragons around the world. And the illustrations were beautiful. They were, like, old-timey, like, very realistic, almost like they were drawing animals in the wild. And it was, like, each page was a dragon from a different region.
Gurney? Was it James Gurney?
I'm not sure.
The guy who did the Dinotopia books?
I don't know. I have to look that up.
I'm just curious.
I have it at my house.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, that, and I just kept drawing dragons. Like, I drew all the dragons, like, I couldn't stop. And so then, yeah, I loved how it was, like, for science. Like, I always loved science. So that's kind of why I was doing scientific illustration.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued by what you do. I feel like scientific illustration was something I always, like, considered but never pursued. Now I feel like I'm catching up. Like, the transition to the campground had me put my art on pause, so I feel like I'm, like, ready to start again in whatever direction I choose. I'm going to try to stick with the sign painting, but if that doesn't work out, maybe scientific illustration might be something that I thought about that I might actually pursue too.
It's a cool one.
Would you recommend it?
I would say, since you said you're doing a lot of, like, digital, it's all digital now.
I see.
So that's why I didn't do it, because I was trained in the charcoal.
Right.
And when I went to see the graduate program, it was, like, all digital. There was no traditional drawing classes at all.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely recommend it, especially if you keep getting good at it. And you can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
You make a good amount of money. I was friends with this woman who was a scientific illustrator. She was in her 50s. And for one illustration, she would get, like, $16,000 because then you get the rights for it, for, you know, publishing it. So she had her contracts all lined out, but you could travel the world. Like, you can work from home, like, because it's digital, so you can contact people over email and travel. So think about it. It's pretty good. Yeah. You need some medical school though. You need to go, which is another thing that turned me away. But you only need certain credits. So yeah, it's pretty interesting field, I would say.
Potential directions to head in. I don't know. I feel like I'm at this point in my life where, like, I tried to pursue the gallery thing and I wasn't feeling it. It's not like I tried really hard. I've shown a lot, I've shown a good amount. Not like an exorbitant amount, but I've had a few shows here, like a few shows a year. Well, a show every year for a while until I stopped. And even when I stopped showing, I like would submit a piece into things and I'd be like, oh, well, that's right, I did show that year. So I like looked back at my body of work and I was like, okay, cool. You're still like kind of in the game, but I'm not like really showing to sell every time. I'm just showing to like create and have a space to like share. But I don't know. I haven't really tried to pursue like a gallery presence in a serious way, other than just within the network I already have, which are those nonprofit folks I was telling you about. Or just like for a friend's show, you know, like if a friend curates a show and is like, yo, Kris, you want to submit this? Sometimes I'm like, yeah, sure, you know, because you're giving me an assignment or a reason to make something. Otherwise, sometimes I don't. But yeah, I just appreciate the community experience as well. I wonder if I will try to pursue it again, but like, yeah, maybe I'll just do something different, which is weird to think about. But when I say do something different in the art, within the skill set, like how Adam is doing this show with his like filming and the painting and how he's combining all these elements and stuff.
Yeah, and for work, I mean, I do scenic painting.
Yeah.
For opera and theater and.
Oh, really?
And I mean, when I'm lucky.
Oh, okay.
A lot of times it's like museum boxes for the Art Institute and like different museums. And this last job was really fun. Last month, where there was a school, or not a school. There's a museum that made this Mars exhibit, and they made all these 3D printed little Mars rovers and buildings and stuff. Yeah. So I would have to process those 3D prints and then clean them off and then paint those and then scenic paint those so that they looked like they had dust and like all this stuff.
Nice.
That was fun. Just like these tiny miniatures, like doing that. Like that's a fun job. Like I am so lucky I found this job. Dang. So that's what affords me the ability to be like,
I like the sound of
oh, you don't want to buy my paintings? That's fine.
You know,
like somebody will one day. They'll get it.
Right.
They don't get it today, and I'll not worry about that because I found myself in a very fortunate situation.
Yeah.
Fortunate, albeit that like I put myself here.
Yeah.
To pursue this thing.
That's right.
But.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's been a really fun trade to kind of get into coming from the fine arts. Is it started out as like working in TV and film, and I'm actually in the union for the motion pictures. But I found that to not be a great package for being an artist in Chicago doing that, because there's not enough stuff filming for you to be employed year round.
I see.
And for all the other people in the union to be employed too. It's like a lot of people are unemployed and not working at times where they really want to be working. So it's like I think it's the wrong town for me for how much work I would need to justify that. And then those hours are crazy to me. The 12-hour days, 5 to 6 days a week, more than 12 hours a lot of the time. You really just have time to get home and like prepare your meal for work or like
Sleep, yeah.
yeah, that's not a life. I wouldn't be able to have this show, like for example.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
to hell with that. So I used that skill set and found this really, really awesome job that I love. It's fun on so many levels, and I apply what I learned there to my paintings. So I'm like,
That's great.
in a cool little groove right now.
Well, if you ever need an artist assistant, let me know because that sounds awesome. I will mix your paints.
Yeah. I mean, I work for a company, so it's not like people are coming to me for that.
Mm-hmm.
But if they need people,
Maybe, yeah.
who knows?
Right.
Yeah, I can't say that. I think my boss just started following me, so
Oh.
hi, Justin.
Have fun. Have you ever pursued a YouTube endeavor?
It's fun. I never have. This is the
YouTube?
first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was streaming on Twitch for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. What's
Like-
that like?
It was fun because like you could like talk to the people like, and sometimes people would come back.
Cool.
Right. Like I thought it was very like a great way to like reach out to people like during the pandemic and stuff.
Yeah.
But it like got too much. Like I'd be painting and then I had to focus on the camera, you know, and like this is definitely way more than I had. Like I had like maybe a few lights and stuff,
Sure.
but for me it kind of like took me out of it. And sometimes I just like to be like alone in the studio, and it always felt like you had an audience like watching and stuff, which was like nice at times, but then sometimes it's just like I had to try it for a little bit.
I'm curious about
That's
it.
cool.
Yeah, I'm curious about
good.
that platform
You have a nice
And-
setup, like
Yeah.
and well, I want to think about how I can actually reach more people and grow a community with this show. Like, I don't want this to just be like, hey, everybody look at me juggling, doing all these things at once. I don't want it to be a juggling clown act. I want it to be like a community that's actually growing from the show, because that's just a waste of time if it's just like an exercise of my ego saying like, look how good I am at this. That's stupid. That's why the show exists in the form it does. The art bridges the gaps between worlds that wouldn't normally collide. It's cool.
Yeah, thank you. Like, I've learned so much tonight already. Like, I just like about the world and like about this community and like what artists are doing, and it's
I think it's fun.
it's amazing.
But I'm so curious about Twitch because it seems like that's like an easier platform to monetize on. Is that right?
mm-hmm.
Also, it seems like the fans are fickle. Well, no, that's not true. I want to say that. Man, the judgment in that. Holy shit.
Fickle?
My judgment in my mind when I thought of that. I was thinking of the fans of like gamer culture and people who like watch people play video games and they're just like...
Oh, I love that. I love watching people play.
Well, whatever it is. But I was thinking that and I'm like, how is that demographic gonna see this that I'm doing? They'll be like, I don't care.
No, they love it.
That's where the judgment comes in my
people on
mind.
Twitch right now who do art, like traditional art. There's like one or two that do traditional art. The majority of it is digital because you can also screen record.
Oh, it's so easy to because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Love that.
So like as you're sketching these digital creations, so I think it's a really great platform right now that doesn't have a lot of people that do paintings like this. So it would be a good time to do it.
Yeah. I mean that's something to research. I think that I don't know if I'd want to put this show on it. But I think branching out in a way that I could do segments and shorts and live streams and things like that.
Yeah.
I think, and that would be more interesting to me to later kind of branch out to different platforms. I want this show to sort of live on YouTube, but I think all other sort of tentacles lead to the main YouTube foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to cross-platform stuff, right?
Yeah.
We'll see. Enough about promoting this show that we're talking about. It's a little too meta, maybe.
Look at that. I just want to see these cards that you set out.
Yeah, we're getting a little too candid here. I should, put away our drinks.
I may or may not use them. I'm just curious.
Yeah, they're fun sometimes. Sometimes they're fun. They're often very leading and...
Give me the juicy ones. I only want the drama.
No one has ever done what you're doing.
What, pick them up? Or read them?
Look through them the way that she's doing it.
They just pick one off the top.
Yep. No one has ever done that on the show.
Like, just sorted through them?
Yeah, I like that you're doing that quite a lot.
That's interesting. What kind of... They are across the board, these questions. Who is someone from your childhood who shaped you? Shaped who you are today and why?
I never even considered using them that way. It's crazy.
Let's see.
See, that's why they're there. Such an easy mode switch. I love that.
Probably my art teacher in high school. She was crazy. She was like so crazy and like wild, but she was like the best teacher at the school. Everyone loved her. Like she was like the mom to like everyone. And I've always had strong female artists in my life. Not my family, no one's an artist, but like women that I knew who were artists were always like almost like they provided like a hub for people, like especially young people to come in and like make work, and like I just love it, love that energy, and I aspire to be that. Like when I'm 60, I would just love to have a house and like have all like the young, nervous, anxious artists come and just like I'll be like, you're fine, like don't worry about it, because that's what we all need, you know.
For sure.
So she was kind of like that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's so important.
Yeah. How about you?
I mean, you don't have to ask me the same question if you.
Oh, you want me to pick?
Oh,
I got my own pile.
Yeah, you should.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Man, that is such a clever idea. You could use just choose your own card. Choose your own adventure.
We need
Your
some
destiny.
juicier cards up in here.
Mine are pretty juicy.
Oh, are they?
I think the color on the back kind of indicates something. Some are red, some are blue, some are yellow.
The blue ones I think are like dark.
I think the blue ones are usually
that
pretty
one's
social.
Pretty good, but I'm gonna go to the next one.
No, I know. It's you gotta feel the moment, I guess, for the question.
Okay.
Baby stuff.
Okay. This one, because I want to compliment. Share one positive characteristic about each person in this room.
Ooh. Well, I love how you're rocking that crown right now. Like, it hasn't, like...
Yeah, that's...
shifted,
but
it
it feels like you own that, like you showed up in it.
Yeah, it's true. I know.
Yes. Like, I love that.
You should probably leave here with it and just rock it at whatever New Year's party you go to. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't mean to, like, have
No,
her
that crown was $250.
Ooh.
But no, it looks amazing on you.
Thanks.
You just rock it so well. I have a tiny head, so I feel like things don't work on my head. So I guess maybe that's why I admire, like, when people can rock something.
Hey.
My head is enormous, so I need... I have some kind of opposite issue.
I love how you're carrying this show right now, and I think that this was really cool of you to bring people together in this way, or that you got constantly a chance to do it. Yeah.
I won't stop doing it as long as they keep showing up.
Nice. Yeah.
Well, as long as you keep showing up. Not they. Come on, you guys are here right now. I think that I would pay to do this for as long as I live if I can get away with it.
That's what's up.
As soon as people stop showing up, then that's when I know I've done something horribly wrong. But I think that I could probably have guests for as long as I make it.
I feel like you answered this question already. Can violence ever be justified? In what circumstances?
Oh, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm. These are good. Justified violence.
I'm not for violence, but if like you need to protect your life, like, or maybe someone else's life, possibly yes. But then then we'd have to go down the rabbit hole of like, okay, what is threatening? What does that mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's danger?
But,
True.
like, normally I'm not for violence, and I don't feel like I could win in a fight, so I'm not gonna start one. But, yeah, I mean, like, if you're gonna die, like, and you have to, like, do something, then yeah, or something, like, you know what I mean?
I do, yeah.
So, yeah.
It's true, going down with a fight or without a fight kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. I definitely feel that.
That's like a whole philosophical debate you could do on that. Like, what does it mean, you know?
I'll ask you one more.
Okay.
What, because I like just where this goes. What is guaranteed to bring you happiness? Guaranteed.
Guaranteed, like, okay.
Because I like chocolate ice cream.
Maybe. That's a really, really good question. Okay, sunshine sometimes? Like, on, like, anytime I feel the sun on, like, my skin, like, it just feels good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I hear that.
And it gives me, like, a chemical release in my brain, too, you know what I mean? Like, it just feels like I could just lay in the sun and, like, take a nap. So it definitely, like, boosts my mood, like, all the time.
Lizard. You turn into
Yes,
lizard.
I do.
It's the best.
Yes. I'll find, like, the sunspot in my house and I'll just lay down like it.
Yeah, it's so warm.
Yes.
Adam, what about you? What's guaranteed to bring you happiness? That's a great answer. I love that so much.
I think painting.
Yeah.
I would say painting someone from life, but that has made me very unhappy before, based on the person. So it's very possible that it could make me unhappy, because I feel like there's something about this show that I like, where people bring their authentic selves so far. When people don't bring their authentic selves and you're painting them, or they offer some kind of threat to you in the time leading up, or you perceive some kind of threat from them in the time leading up to the time when you're painting them, I find that to not be enjoyable anymore to paint them. So I just start to just feel like, feel like I hate that I'm painting this person right now, or like this is terrible and I'm committed to doing this, and it's like this person is not being honest.
Yeah.
So that's a rare thing, but so it's not quite a guarantee.
I hear that.
I think it's a pretty rare thing.
Okay, then, can you think of a guarantee?
Yeah, I know.
I was like, was
nice
that the terminology?
dodge, right? Good
no,
dodge.
I'm just curious though.
Damn, I thought I would get away with dodging that one completely. So close. Guaranteed to bring me happiness.
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay. I think I've never been upset about an ice cream cone. Like drive-through soft serve ice cream cone. You find yourself in that position, you're probably not going to be unhappy when you're eating that thing.
I don't know.
You know?
Yeah.
That's so true.
Susie's on Montrose.
Oh,
Did you ever go there?
R.I.P.
They're gone now.
I know.
That was a drive-through soft-serve ice cream cone place.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, lots of other food too, but specifically, I would go there with a friend for those trips. That's
so good.
That was the good stuff.
In my formative stoner years, that's where I would go to gather the munchies. And
what did they have? The curious chicken or
I never
chicken?
I never got that. I would always get a bacon double cheeseburger with barbecue sauce and grilled onions. And then I would get like concrete, like a Blizzard style shake, banana Oreo, and those are my go-tos. Oh man, the munchies! I would go hard. I think all that cost me like less than $10.
That's pretty good.
In like 2001. That definitely brought me happiness.
All right. What does a life well lived mean to you?
doing what you want to do, like doing whatever the fuck you want to do.
Woo.
Yeah, just whatever it is you dreamed of, just try it out. At least you tried it. If it fails, at least you tried it. You learn hopefully something from it, and then you do the other thing that you want to do.
Yes.
Hopefully you have a bunch of things you want to do, and then you can try them all.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a bunch of things that you want to do, maybe try things that you never thought of wanting to do.
Okay.
Love it.
All right. Yeah, it's a fine answer as far as I'm concerned.
When do you feel most secure?
That's an interesting one. I think when I'm like in a comfy bed.
I was thinking the same thing.
You were really thinking the same. That's literally what I was thinking.
Really?
I swear to God.
So
like I was thinking like the moment before I fall asleep is what I would think.
Yes.
But I've fallen asleep sad before.
Yeah,
That's
me
not.
too.
It's not like it.
I'm a little sleep sad before too.
Yeah.
But I like having like a safe, comfy space to like
Yes.
fall asleep in.
Yeah.
And that is security to me. I think that's the like, what is it? The like societal trope, like, right? Like we have a bed to sleep in, you know, at the end of the day.
Mhm.
And I feel like that is an important symbol of security.
The basic needs.
And it's a basic need. Yeah, exactly. And that's all I like wish for everyone, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I thought of that, and I'm like thinking about being in Chicago and all the people in tents right now this time of year, you know, like in the viaducts, and how I know a few people who like, what is the word? Like, not just partitioned, but they just like made a movement to like replace a lot of the tents that they were housed in, just because a lot of them were like falling apart, and just like stronger materials and hopefully warmer tents.
Oh, the orange ones?
Right.
Yeah.
The orange ones were like a movement that somebody led to try to like get as many tents replaced with those orange tents as possible, and I thought that was really awesome. But anyway, when I was talking about having a bed to sleep in, my head went there. I'm like, oh, that's a basic need, and like just thinking about the people that don't have that.
Makes sense.
But I wonder, I don't know. I like to think about like ways that artists could try to like, because I think artists are the people that I know that like helped out with this movement. So I don't know, the artists could help like do the same. Being an artist is so interesting. I don't know, like you could do anything for anything, like talk about anything, put your money to anything. Like you can be so creative with your money or your imagery or your message or whatever. Like it's incredible. What a platform. So yeah, like I don't know. That's the weird thing about being an artist is like it feels weird to be an artist and not be able to help people. And I think that's why I flip-flop between art and personal training. Is with personal training there's a very like tangible helping mechanism to that, because like I help people get stronger. I help people like reduce injury or fix like pain, and that's very tangible. But like the art, there's not, for me, I haven't experienced as much like tangible difference, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm like, oh, I'm like kind of casually an artist, and I like rely on this other thing for income, and it's also very fulfilling.
Yes.
Do you have other interests that you like to pursue? Yeah, like within the science art realm, outside of that, within that?
Not really.
Yeah.
No?
Not really.
No.
Yeah.
Do you play video games or?
Oh,
Right.
yes. Okay.
Right.
Yes. I do love video games. I love to play, I've been playing Stray recently.
What's that?
It's like, you play a cat that, it's like hundreds of years in the future, and you're a cat. You have a backpack.
This is the
It's
best.
so great. The graphics are beautiful. The cities that, I love exploring games because it's like I love being inside a painting.
Yeah, the adventure
like,
games are fun.
It's literally being inside a painting. That's cool. Like no one will ever be able to like jump in my painting and walk and see what's around the edge. But like, I mean, not the way I do it right now. But
Oculus.
Yeah. So I know I tried painting on an Oculus before, and my mind was just blown away. Like,
well, the potential is crazy to think about. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have something we should talk about.
I guess I kind of derailed what you were saying.
It's okay. You're good. Kind of along the same lines, but I have been playing around with AI art. And I want to know what you guys think about that topic, especially because I've seen a lot of like traditional artists, like I would say like who use oils and charcoals, post images of like ban AI art, and they would post like paragraphs about it, and
sure,
I just like to know what you guys think. Like, how do you feel about it?
I've got opinions.
Yeah, share them. Lay them
out. I think that it's clear that that's going to first be exploited by production houses.
For sure.
And people will be unemployed as a result. So, no brainer. That's the first issue to take. And the fact that creative jobs would be the first things that were targeted in such a way, and society is so elated that they don't have to pay for art. Not a great thing. Not a great precedent to set. But I think that artists using the camera to adapt their art when the camera was invented into a quicker sort of style. Whereas before people had to learn all of the anatomy, people had to learn all of the traditional structures of like learning to see
the form
and represent the form. Thanks, 3-dimensional sort of representation before they so portrait painting and all these paintings were suddenly pushed back, and of course you had that community pushing back against cameras, I'm sure, to some degree. So people even still scoff at cameras when people use photo references instead of painting from life, if you're talking to the right people.
Right.
Or the wrong people.
Right.
Depends. There's wiggle room for all of it. Everyone's an idiot.
Right.
But I think that there's this idea of using the tools to further your art, or no, is that what you're doing, or are you, not you personally, but
right,
like as the artist, are you using this tool to further what you're doing, or are you taking the easy way out so you don't have to learn other things? It's another language, basically. So I think that when the photo reference is used, someone might use a project that onto a canvas, just trace it, and they never have to learn to draw. They can go their entire careers, their entire lives doing that. And the only people who will know the difference won't buy their paintings, sure, but maybe they will. It's like it's a moral issue of what is faking and what is really knowing, I think, because there's this shortcut that's introducing to the creative process where it's sort of hijacking I don't even believe what I'm saying in that. So I think that I wanted to say it's hijacking coincidence so that you don't have the creative process happening where there's that you choose a moment to focus on in like a chaotic sort of storm. Like the creative thing, we know it seems like it works that way so often. That kind of exists within this AI structure. You can still kind of choose, you can still kind of like take the coincidence of it and then be influenced by it. So I don't believe that 100%, but I see that that's not going to be the most common way to approach it. The most common way to approach it is going to be, I'm an artist. I've always been an artist. Art is my life. Is the statement that will be made by people who are using these apps and kind of just feeding in words to it and then curating images that it creates. I think that's going to be the most common use of it. So it's not going to be like this genius tool that you're able to collaborate with your humanity for the most part. It'll most likely and mostly be people taking credit for someone else's work who isn't a someone at all. So it's like the shortcut to fame, the shortcut to glory that I think that everyone's looking for. Like, how can I? This is so hard. How can I skip all that hard stuff? Like, why do I have to scale the mountain? Isn't there an elevator? Like,
right.
Yeah. So there could be an elevator. That's great if you find it, as long as it's not full of dickheads on the way up. Like, what? That would suck to be surrounded by that all the time.
I mean, I was playing around with it, and I think it's like pretty
revolutionary.
Like, I agree to the point when it's like
all right,
stealing work, because it's like, I mean, we're all only what we have learned.
Yeah.
Like, like my painting, the way I paint, is a culmination of things that I have gathered from everyone. So it's very similar in that sense, except it's like should be illegal to not somehow, if the company who like programs this AI to gather these images, the artist should be compensated for their work through that
royalties and things.
Royalties. I think that needs to happen. Exactly. I have no idea how we could do that,
Right.
but
is that like how NFTs were supposed to function? Maybe.
Kind of, right?
and yeah, that's a whole other
In a way, or
Yeah.
thing. You know what I mean?
Right,
To talk about like, but I was playing around with the AI. You could do anything.
Right.
I did.
I'm sure it's.
I
amazing.
did-
That's pretty
It must be
cool.
amazing.
Jim Carrey eating a slice of pizza under a bridge in LA. And it made me 4 or 5 images of Jim Carrey eating a pizza. And I was just like, that is, I can't even, like, I mean, I could draw that too, but I was just
Right.
like, what?
But now you don't necessarily have to visualize it. That's crazy.
No, yeah. And so I was just like, what's the most absurd thing? Like, just to challenge to see what would come out of it. So
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I don't know how I feel about someone who would use the AI. I know some people have won, like, some shows for their AI art.
I've only heard of one instance of that.
Yes.
And it was for like $200.
And I'm just like,
It's nothing.
but that, like, just shows, like, what could happen.
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in, like, larger scales.
Mhm.
Like, how much of that can you add to your work and still have it be yours?
Ooh, true. True.
And that's where I feel like my conflict with it comes from, especially because it is from other artists, the styles and the way that it's created. Like, how much does it need to be yours? Because I think the copyright laws, like, you have to change something 10 times, and if you do that, then it's like, don't quote me on that. But it's like you have to change
It makes a
it
little more sense now, actually.
a certain amount of time before you can use that person's piece as a reference with your own. So that was also a thought. I was thinking about that.
Yeah, that all makes sense.
Because it's never going to go away.
Yeah,
No,
not
it
at
won't
this point.
ever-
No,
no.
that will only continue
This
to
is
get
going
better.
to keep
Yeah,
increasing.
of
So
course.
it's like, how can we actually use it ethically and as a tool,
Well, it
which
won't
we
be
all know
used
it's not.
ethically.
No. Yeah, we all know it's
Yeah.
not going to.
It will not be used ethically. Nothing is.
But I love to
It is by a few
philosophize.
people.
We must philosophize. That's what I
Yeah.
love to do.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. I love this. Yeah, I don't know. I am not very involved in it, but I'm, like most other things, I'm very observant about it before I create opinion about it. And I mean,
Yeah.
like, these portraits that people were releasing that were like, I used this AI art app that I got to download and create this. It was like less than a month ago. So I'm still like kind of wrapping my head around
It is new.
the availability of this technology and like, yeah, kind of seeing how it can be used. I completely agree with what Adam was saying, and I also agree with what you're saying. So I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm somewhere.
Yeah, I'm forming my opinion.
I don't know.
Somewhere still like.
I think if I say enough words out loud and I let them flow, then I point to different ones. Like I was saying, it's like, oh, actually, I don't even believe what I just said. It's like I think I just have to talk about it. I have to talk my opinion out. I can't like.
Yeah, no, you were
I
processing
can't think about it, and yeah.
That's also like really really helpful to like verbally process things, and I could tell like that can be like again just a helpful way to go through it. But yeah, I often exist in this gray area of like, oh, I can see why that's helpful. I can see why that's helpful. Like it takes me a while to sort of like, I don't know, lean one way or another, and this is for a lot of things, not all subjects, but for a lot of things. I like try to explore again all sides of the story or all the like possibilities of whatever the situation is. So
that's good. And well, it's easy to get polarized.
It is.
The world has become so good at propaganda. And
I notice I am susceptible to that. I'll read an opinion, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's really rough, that's fucked up, and then I'll like not even think about it, and then I'll read the like opposing opinion or story, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's also really interesting, that's a good point, you know. And then I'm like, oh, maybe I should wait until I like truly agree with just one side, you know. That's I think where that comes from.
I'm getting pretty close here.
Yay.
Great conversation.
I hear you breathing heavy over there, like sighing. You know, it didn't seem like you're stressed or anything, but just like, I know how it goes. Sometimes I like hold my breath.
Me?
Yeah, I could hear you.
Oh, yeah.
breathing
I need to
there.
do that often. So I think that a lot of the people, when they watch the show, will probably think that I'm like exasperated with something or the conversation, but I'm just like, just trying to center myself like pretty often.
You're painting with oils, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, right on. What do you do for ventilation?
I inhale the vapors to keep them from reaching you.
Filter it through your lungs.
Yeah.
Same.
I know. That's
do you
actually.
work with oils too?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
I have water-based oils though.
You do have a good point, and a lot of the time I'm using non-toxic solvents. No, it's not one of the times. Sorry.
No, that's okay. You just may want to.
You bring up a really good point though for future episodes of the show, and that I should really focus on making that a feature of the show. That I should only use non-toxic solvents because I have guests in this room.
Right.
Thanks. And thank you for being guinea pig. Oh my god.
Oh, no problem.
So the previous guests, please don't sue me or...
This is another reason why I don't paint, is because I'm comfortable with oils, and like, they're pretty portable, you know, for the most part, but like, they're also, it's hard to find a ventilated space that I feel comfortable working in.
So Chelsea is a good company that puts out like really nice lavender spike oil and different spike oils.
What's a spike oil?
I don't know.
Do I have any right here?
They make lavender varnish.
There it is. Here, you want to see?
Oh, okay, I see.
It's wonderful.
That's what you mean by non-toxic. It's not even like a terpenoid.
Really
you should smell that.
You
Seriously.
can?
Yeah.
They make lavender varnish.
So counterintuitive.
Isn't it crazy?
I smelled the lavender varnish.
It's amazing.
I didn't smell it all.
Oh,
so when you do live painting and you have that scent in the room, people are like, "What's going on? What is that? What's happening? What is this smell?" They're just like,
and then all you need...
It's just lavender spike oil. It's awesome.
Okay, so what about the metals of the paint? Do they not evaporate as much as the terpenoids?
I wouldn't say that's ever going to be an issue unless you're actively sanding the painting.
Or touching it, right? It
touching
gets
it
through your skin.
Touching it could, yeah.
Right, like, so if you're interacting with paint, maybe you want to wear gloves.
Well, when I live paint, not on the show...
Okay.
But when I live paint, I wear one glove because you see how I hold the rag in one hand to clean the brush, and then I clean the brush with this.
Yeah.
I usually have one glove on this hand.
Okay.
And then this is just my rag hand. Ragtime hand.
I like this. I'm learning so much today.
We are, actually. This is a really educational episode.
Thank
Hot
you.
damn. Yeah, good room.
In so many
Warm
ways.
room.
I'm gonna freaking order a shit ton
Maybe I
of that
should have
lavender
these.
spray.
Yeah, I should have these episodes at night. That's not cheap though, so that's the downside of that. Obviously, the turpentine is cheap.
What is though? Yeah, turpentine.
Life is cheap. That's what.
But I'm like, in terms of oil painting,
Okay, another question.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite art, world, history, anytime in history, drama story.
I wonder how much I recall.
Anything that stood out to you, maybe. That you
I like the story of Van Gogh's paintings being fakes.
Ooh, what?
Like a lot of them being fakes by, what's his name? Schofenecker? Schofenecker.
I haven't heard of
Some
this
guy
one.
who was like restoring was restoring them and was repainting his pictures, and was that his name? Schofenecker? Fuck. He's an assistant when I need one.
I was about to say, I'm like, you really need an assistant to be like, Google.
You know, Siri has helped out quite a lot on this show.
Oh, yeah?
I don't think she's going to be able to understand that. That's too complex of a question for Siri.
Oh, Siri?
Yeah.
I mean, I can always just pull up my phone.
There's an iPad there, but we've already gone past this. So let's just believe the guy's name is Schofenecker. And
Some
he was
dude.
sort of like a historian and kind of figure, and, you know, was restoring and touching up Van Gogh paintings and also like repainting them, and with
That's like
that
a
kind of
conspiracy
knowledge.
theory.
Well, it's kind of fun.
I know, that's an art world conspiracy theory. I never heard of
Right.
it before.
So it's theorized that, you know, those a lot could be fakes, phonies, Van Goghies? No, it's not. I tried.
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer this. I'm like, do I know any art drama? I know I do.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, sometimes I ask a question and I'm like, I have no answer
Hey,
either.
hey, one person answered it, that might be enough.
I like Piss Christ.
Yeah?
I love when art makes people so mad. It's like so great. Cause it's just like, it's just an image, or it's like, I could see why it would make people mad. I
Yeah.
could see it. But I love it. Love the drama. Like, if an artist can provoke so much out of somebody, they're like, through an image or something that's like on paper, or something, like I just respect that so much.
Yeah.
Such a strong reaction. And that's
real.
kind of like what I feel like I would love for people to have. Like,
Art can make you feel so much, or visual arts can make you feel so much. Like, in different ways. Just upon how you interpret the visuals and how much you can feel it.
I remember there was this one, I do not remember the artist's name, because I'm very bad at names, but it was a graduate at the Art Institute, got a BFA. This was like the dude, this was like someone that they love to talk about. But they presented like a Bible on a pedestal and then an American flag that you had to like walk over and like read the Bible. And you had to walk over it, and there was like protests and like just so much like people that were so against it. And for me, I'm like, they bought that flag probably somewhere. Like, that was like so cheap. Like, it was just the fact that it's so simple, like a book and a piece of fabric on the ground, and then everyone's like screaming. Like,
yeah, I got a lot of people talking and up in arms. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. I
I don't either.
Okay, no, I mean, I wanted to just say, I think this is done, but I think...
Oh yeah, put your finishing touches. I'm still thinking about my answer, art drama.
Okay.
Did any artists, like... I mean, like, I hear new things every day. Like, I don't know. Art drama to me is, like... learning, like, more about the personality or something of the artist, or what they really did, or, like, what the true...
The lovers.
Acquisition, their lovers, or like the acquisition of their styles, like who were they influenced by. I don't know, I just came across, it was probably clickbait, but it was like Picasso was influenced by African artists. He stole from, you know, African cultures, and I'm like, oh dang, like word, if that's true, you know, it's like, oh.
Still fun.
Like, that's juicy drama, because it's like...
No, that's true, though.
Yeah, I know.
Because...
Boy, that is really
me and my
hard
friend were,
thing
like,
to attribute.
just kind of debating about that, because we were talking about the difference between fine art and what's considered outsider art, and the problematic nature of that. But then we started talking about the museum setting and which paintings are shown in a museum and how are certain things shown in a museum in which ways. So we started talking about Picasso and the era where he started being really inspired by more African art. And it's interesting that you'll have this art that was created by a group of people who had never gone to a Western fine art traditional school, and their pieces are shown in like almost a scientific way. And then this person who's like a fine artist who paints, trained very skillfully in, you know, Western culture, on a gallery wall. Like, but still the same images of what is considered something that would be more natural history and almost of like a lower intelligence, because that's just, I feel like it's, so that's what was really problematic for me. Yeah, I think so. But we were talking about that, because there actually is a new exhibit right now of African art coming to the Art Institute, so I'd like to see how they display it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Didn't go to the Art Institute this year.
Neither am I.
But I was there
I'll go
last year.
soon.
They
I'll be working
revoked our
there.
membership.
What?
I'm like, we paid no more money for you.
What? So you had like a lifelong like access to their...
Yeah, and then the year before that we went there, they were like, sorry, we don't do that anymore. You can get half off.
Sorry, what did you
That's
start
so
attending?
Yeah.
Wait.
2015.
Right on. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yay! It's like 12 years after I went to college. I'm trying to think like
I can't even think in that way.
how long they were.
I don't think of those years in that
I
way.
don't mind.
In that context, I'm like,
It's
how many
wild.
years ago was that?
It's a lot.
It's hard to remember, because I find myself like finding it easier to remember how old I was.
2003 is almost 20 years ago. It'll be 20 years ago this year that we started college. Well, I don't know if you started the same year I did, Adam. But that's when I started.
Well, I guess we're both 37.
Right.
I started out of high school.
Me too.
I'm okay. I'm actually gonna get my lighter, if that's okay. Just to spark up again.
Yeah.
What?
This one,
Thank you.
we're about to do the reveal.
Yeah.
The reveal.
So, here's do I look enough like Jughead?
Jughead.
I never even thought of that.
Not yet.
Dang.
If I wore that one, maybe I would have a little. Then I would need the little. He had the green hat on top of it, the crown, didn't he?
I forget.
I think so.
I think so, you're right.
All right. Well,
Happy New Year.
here goes nothing. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. 3. Like,
Here it
move
is.
that bus.
Oh yeah, I should I'm gonna have to line this up with something.
Have a
significant.
tagline.
Something significant, but I don't know what time. Maybe like 11:58.
Yes. Your earrings are epic.
So I'm
They
gonna
were
take your seat.
keychains. I just put them in earrings.
I'll take your seat, and then I'll have the close up, and then you guys can go look at the painting.
Oh.
Why is she not lighting?
Let's see what you got.
Oh.
All right.
So fun.
Okay, let's stand over here.
What a palette.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah,
the
it's
crown.
yeah, it's wild and fun and free. It's nice.
Yes.
Fancy free.
I love it. It's like
Yeah, there's a lot of movement.
I'm so cool.
I love this.
Your brush strokes. I love all your brush strokes. The way that you like. Everything kind of feeds into each other.
Oh, it's so
I think the style of these is developing with each episode too.
good. Yeah.
So that's been kind of fun to see.
The two paintings are quite
where they're going.
It's always 2 seats, right?
Yeah.
You painted these seats so many times. Like this like
Yeah,
setup.
but the lights, they're all color changing lights, so I like to change that up, and then, I mean, I add things to that, but it's kind of arbitrary. I mean, I barely painted the flowers in. I might even touch those up.
Are they all smart? Like they're all like Bluetooth color changing?
Yeah.
Like so you go into your app.
Exactly, yeah.
You should do like a neon one day.
I want to do more unique ones. I have to figure out, I have this little outlight that I've got shining up onto the canvas so it doesn't get too influenced by those colors. But otherwise it becomes hard to see what I'm painting, you know?
Yeah.
Which also leads to an interesting result. It's just not ever as vibrant as I thought it was. So, don't turn up the lights so much that you can't tell how vibrant you are. Don't turn them off just to try to act like that's going to make you more vibrant.